All right. Hans Tim still here with my guy, Breadman. How you feeling today?
I'm good, man. How you?
Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool, man. No complaints. Let's jump right into it. It's a lot to talk about. I'm not gonna I think Haney is the clear guy to maybe talk about a little bit, but I want to talk about Benavidez, man. This guy. Make my question real short and sweet. Who the hell is beating that guy,
You know what, man? I don't know.
man?
I don't know. He's the best fighter that I've ever coached against.
Mm,
He's really good. He's probably a great fighter.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think he beats Bivol and Beterbiev at 175.
Mhm.
Um, I favor him over Zurdo Ramirez at cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I don't think he could beat Usyk, but I think he could hold his own. Um, Maybe Jai Apataya and him is a good fight, but I got to see more of Jai Apataya. That's a really good fight because he's athletic and he's big and strong, and
Yeah.
David will have to respect what he's running up on against him because that dude has some athleticism. But I have to see him navigate through the rounds versus elite opponents. He's good. Apataya is good. He looks the part, but I would like to see a little bit more. But it looks like Benavidez is going to try his luck at cruiserweight, and I don't know if he's going to move up the cruiserweight and move back down. But in an era where people like look at guys like the context of their body, I think that he's not body beautiful, but I think it works for him. I think in other eras or in the same way in era, he's like 1970s, 1980s size heavyweight. But because he has a lot of body fat and you could weigh in, you know, 36 hours before your fight, he can make a lower weight and lose the weight and then put it back on. And I'm not calling him a weight bully. I don't like that word. You make the weight, you make the weight. But he's good. He's he's really, really good. He you can see why kind of Canelo just didn't want to face him. It's just a lot to deal with. He's a lot younger. He's coming downhill, over top of him. He's taller. He's punching down on him. It'd have been a tough fight for Canelo. It's a pace that I don't know if Canelo could have kept up with. And the only chance that Canelo would have had is to clip him when Canelo was at his best around 2020, 2021. The fight didn't happen then, but you can kind of see why. It's kind of weird, but David losing his belt for his out of the ring, situation, it kind of like it allowed Canelo to slip in and not be able to fight him and get all of the belts without having to go through him. And that's David's fault, obviously, but Canelo was very fortunate that he had that situation because if he didn't, that'd have been a tough fight for Canelo. It really would have been.
I love the fact that you brought up Jayo Patai because that's a guy that I look at. I'm just like, oh, Jayo Patai is one of them guys, man. But other than Jayo Patai, like if you had to like rank Zerto, Bivol, and Beterbiev in terms of guys that you think that can beat Benavidez or give him like the biggest run, how would you rank that?
Bivol and Beterbiev even, and Zerto a notch below them. Bivol just completely dominated Zerto when he fought. I think Zerto is a very good fighter, and I respect him. I do. I think he's a heck of a fighter, but I don't look at him and see great fighter. I thought Bivol shut him out. You know what I'm saying? And when the guy shuts you out over 12 rounds, you know what I mean? Is either a bad style matchup or he's just a superior fighter to you. And I feel like that Bivol is superior to Zerto. So I would rank Zerto below Benavidez and Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev is a little bit older, but he punches so hard and he has pedigree and he doesn't need a lot of room to get off his punches. Obviously, David had to be really careful because David's not going to run from him. He's going to step to him, and Beterbiev is throwing rocks. But I think that David punches and bunches will probably be a little bit too much for Beterbiev right now. And I think that he gets off a little bit too quick for Beterbiev. So Beterbiev is going to be hitting him with 1 and 2 shots, and David's going to be hitting him with 4 and 5 shots. And I like David's youth in that fight. With Bivol, Bivol's a tremendous fighter. I got tremendous amount of respect for him, but it seems like that the way he moves and he doesn't fight on the inside, Benavidez can kind of force him to over move and move more than what he would like to move and force him to kind of run out of gas. For as good as Bivol's conditioning is, he does take off rounds because he fights in the constant bounce all night. And I think that Beterbiev's pressure and Benavidez's pressure is different. Beterbiev is more calculated. He has actually have good footwork and defense, but it's more subtle and calculated, where Benavidez is a little more frenetic. And I think that he will force a harder pace on Bivol than what Beterbiev does. And it's something interesting. I know sparring is not everything, and I have seen guys get the better of guys in sparring and then try to fight them and not get the better of them. I get that. But Benavidez seems very confident about their sparring sessions.
Yeah.
He's almost like it's a different kind of confidence, and Bivol never refutes it. He never says, well, that didn't happen. He didn't get the better of me. He didn't beat me up. He never says it. So the fact that they're pretty much suggesting that he beat Bivol up a few times and stopped him, it's like, damn, like he never, and I'm not saying who's telling the truth or who's lying. I'm just looking at what they're saying. And one guy just pretty much says, I dominated him in sparring, and there's reports that he stopped him, and the other guy never says anything. Now, Bivol's a quiet, humble guy, and maybe, it's like, maybe he was at a different part of camp. Maybe he was cutting weight. I don't know the circumstances, but David Shore is confident about what happened in the ring with them. And I wasn't there, obviously, but I favor Benavidez to edge that.
Well, let me ask you a little bit of an interesting question. What do you think will be more difficult for Benavidez to deal with? Beterbiev's power or Bivol's distance control?
Beterbiev power.
Hmm. Okay.
I think David likes it when you run from him. I
Hmm.
think that gives him a snowball effect, and
Yeah.
I think he likes that, and he can drown you out that way.
Hmm. Okay.
I think he likes that. I think Beterbiev it creates a certain kind of anxiety when the guy punch like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all night long, you like, God damn, man, I'm getting. You know what I mean? It creates a certain kind of anxiety. You could be a limited guy, and I'm not saying Beterbiev is limited, but you could be a limited guy. But if you got freakish punching power, it could take you a certain way because nobody wants to get knocked out.
Hmm.
So look at Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder has a lot of critics, but he defended his title 10 times. He made a bunch of money. He didn't have a huge amateur background. He won a world championship. He had a very good career for a guy that's viewed as limited. You know what I mean? And the reason why he did is because he got a monster right hand. Where Turbiev has a two-fisted attack. To me, he's a better puncher than Wilder because he doesn't need the room that Wilder need. He has a two-fisted attack, and he has a bigger variety of punches. So that's a lot to just deal with, knowing that, you know what I mean. If he hits you clean, he could do some kind of damage to you, and he's gonna hit Benavidez because Benavidez is gonna step to him. That's how Benavidez fights.
Yeah.
So I think that's I don't know if I would pick Benavidez if this was 5 years ago. You know what I mean? But it's not. The man is 41, and 41 is 41.
Yeah.
So I pick Benavidez to beat him. I think Benavidez gets off a little too quick for him.
Do you think, and just from the outside looking in, but do you think the play is one about a 75? Gonna be Zerto, maybe gonna fight Opatai. That would make a lot of sense. And then eventually, if I could do that in enough time, I can fight Usyk. Dude, does that kind of seem like that's his play?
I think that if he fights Zerto, which they said is done for Cinco de Mayo,
Mhm.
I don't think he's going to chance Apatai. I think he's going to go straight to Usyk
Think so?
because Japatai, if Japatai beats him, or he struggles with him. Listen, I don't know anything. I'm not the I'm not part of Team Benavidez. I'm just going by what I see in this era,
Yeah.
right? So if Job Apatai beats Benavidez or Benavidez struggles with him, it takes the luster off of the Usyk fight because people will assume if he can't beat or dominate Apatai at cruiserweight, he's not going to beat the best heavyweight of the generation at heavyweight. That's just what people are going to say. I'm not saying it's true or false. I'm just saying what they're going to say. So my guess would be if he beats Zerto, he going to go straight to Usyk in a super fight. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I definitely don't have to be right about this. But
Yeah.
just nobody in boxes chances that kind of stuff anymore. And Jai Patai is a tough fight for David. You know what I mean? He's tough because he's athletic. He can move, and then he can punch too. And he's not old. You know what I mean? So he's as young as David. He has the young reflexes. He don't have the wear and tear on him. That's a hard fight. I don't know who takes that fight, and I don't know if David's handlers. I don't think David's scared of nobody. I think he'll fight a Mack truck if you put one in front of him.
Yeah.
But I don't think his handlers would risk dealing with Apatai when they could go straight to Usyk and probably make close to $100 million. Why even risk it? You know what I mean? That's just me guessing because of the logistics and the status quo of today's boxing.
Um, I would just say that, and maybe I'm crazy, but I think Opatai versus Benavidez might be like a top two fight in boxing. That's just an amazing fight. And he's also what you always say. He's a mean dude, man. Like
I
Opatai,
think Benavidez versus Bivol, Beterbiev, or Apatai are great fights, and there's fights where there's no predetermined winner.
yeah,
I think that Zerto is a level below all three of them. And there's no disrespect, but what I see in Zerto and what I saw in Zerto's fight with Bivol and a couple other his fights, I don't view him as the same level of talent as they are. So I think all three of those fights is huge, historically significant fights, you know. But like I said, Bivol seems to have an injury. I'm not sure what's going on with Beterbiev, and I don't know what's going on with Apatai and his management or promotion either, because I feel like he should be a bigger star at this time. And they should have had a unification with Ramirez a long time ago. So I'm not sure what's going on with that either. But Benavidez is the hot one out of the names, and he's going to be able to, call the shots after that last performance.
Let me ask you this one last subject on Benavidez real quick. I know you'd favor Usyk over him, but would you favor Moses Itama over Benavidez though?
I didn't think about him because he's young. I probably would though.
Mm,
Yeah, I probably would. It's
mm.
Let me answer that and let me learn a little bit more about Atama. But if you making me, I don't know if David could beat him. Moses Atama, nice, bro,
Yeah,
and he's sharp. I
yeah.
would like to see how he is navigating through the rounds. You know what I mean? I would just like to see how he looks fighting a 12 round or fighting a competitive fight with a world class guy that's trying to win all throughout the fight. But I don't know if David could go up 65 pounds and beat him. Dude weigh 100, 240 pounds. And he gonna give David something that a lot of guys at these bigger weights can't. His hands is gonna be as quick. You know what I mean? Moses Tama got some quick hand release. He really lets his punches go. So David will be fighting somebody who's a much bigger than him, but also has the ability to match some of his gifts as far as his hand speed and his punch release. Moses Tama gets his hands off really good. That's a tough fight for David.
For sure. I agree. When you look at Devin Haney, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, at least to me anyways, that he's the best guy at 147. You can't really favor anybody at 147 over him. And it's really not particularly close, if you ask me. But I remember before the Brian Norman fight actually happened, and it was like a little 50-50-ish and whatever. And before that, Devin was just like, yo, I agreed to the Boots fight, 152, whatever, whatever. But now that we've seen Devin at 147 and we've seen how he looked against Brian Norman, not, if they met it like a catchweight or something like that, is that like a 50-50-ish type fight? And if it's not, do you think Devin is on Boots' level? Like, I know how highly you think of Boots, but do you think he's like right there?
I thought Devin said that he agreed to fight Boots at 147, and then Boots said
Yeah,
152.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to get misquoted because people say things wrong. Not trying to correct you, but
No, go
you
ahead.
know,
No problem.
people in their teams are very sensitive, and I don't want to say nothing about nobody that's not true because I respect both teams. But
Yeah.
I remember Devin talking about that. He agreed to the fight at 47, and Boots won at 52, and he had never fought at 47 before,
Mhm.
which is understandable on both guys.
Yeah.
Um, is Devin on Boots level? Yeah, he is. I
Mhm.
think he is. Not saying he's better than Boots. I think very highly of Boots. And if you and I think Boots is one of the best fighters in the world. But Devin has won three titles in three different weight divisions. He's accomplished more than Boots. He's younger than Boots. And he's been fighting a higher level opponent than Boots.
Mhm.
I think Boots is probably a little bit more talented than Devin, but you it's it's close enough where, a person who likes Devin can state his case, and a person who likes Boots can state his case.
Mhm.
Um, I like them both. I don't really want to compare them. You asking me,
Mhm.
so I'm just going to say that they're around on the same level. With Devin accomplishing a little bit more, or Boots probably is a little bit more talented, in my opinion. But
It is
you know,
is 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 the experience, and when I say experience, I mean like on the big stage. Would that be a factor in that fight maybe? Because when I looked at the Norman versus Haney fight, Haney looks great and whatever, but he just looks so comfortable on that big stage. He's fought on that stage like 100 times. Norman didn't really, I don't know, I could be wrong, man, but he just didn't. It looked like the moment might have been a little bit too big for him. I don't know. What do you think?
here's how I feel about the big stage. It does matter. Some fighters can perform on the big stage the first time they get there. Because you got to understand something, Hans. It's always a first time for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some guys can perform on there when the first time they get there, and sometimes guys need a little bit more time on the big stage to figure it out. There was a question in Crawford versus Canelo of can Crawford deal with that level of stage where the world is looking? He was fine on there,
Yeah.
but Canelo had the experience of the big pay-per-view main event guy at the highest level you could possibly be at by going against the Mayweathers and the Triple G's and some of his record setting pay-per-view fights. So Haney does have more experience than Boots been on the big stage, but that doesn't mean that Boots can't perform on the big stage. You just have to kind of see if Boots's anxiety and can he carry out his fight plan and do what he needs to do. Because some guys, the big stage doesn't bother them, and some guys they do. And when we break down these fights, sometimes we say, well, this guy got the experience on being on the big stage, and some guys go up there the first time and they win. And then some guys, they might struggle a little bit. It just depends. I really don't know. You really don't know until you get there. You know what I mean? Obviously, it will be a little advantage for Devin, but we got to see how Boots handles it. But I don't think Boots and Devin are fighting or anything like that. I think we kind of wasting our time. I think Boots is at 54, Devin is at 47, and I can't see them fighting at this current moment right now. It's a lot going on at 154 for Boots, and Devin is just a newly crowned champion at 147, and he got a lot of options.
Gotcha. Um, Crawford to me and a lot of people was the best fighter, pound for pound. But I tell you what, man, if Bam Rodriguez was the same size as everybody, like everybody in the world was the same size, I'm not sure I'd pick anybody over Bam. How good is Bam? And if Bam fights Inoue, and I know how much respect and love you got for Inoue, if he fought him, is that a 50-50 fight, or is that just like I'd probably slightly go with this guy over this guy?
Um, I think Crawford's the best fighter in the world, and I think Bam's a remarkable talent. Um, I don't think he can be in the way though.
Mhm. Is it the weight, maybe?
because well, that's a big deal. In a way he's at 122 and he's at 115. That's a real thing that we got.
Yeah.
And here is the thing, right? Bam is one of those guys who is a super talent, but he's not like he doesn't have overwhelming physicality.
Mhm.
There's a little bit different. Like he's not hitting you and breaking your face. He's not like moving through a wall with his ability to move things. His skill level is on the same level as Inouye's, but his physicality is not. Um, Inoue punches harder. He's faster. He's more physical. He's just as talented, but he's more twitchier. He's a better overall athlete. I'm not talking about fighter, but overall athlete. So you move up and weight to fight a guy who hit harder than you, who is faster than you, who's more dynamic than you, and also equally skilled. That's a very tough assignment for Bam, in my opinion. I could be wrong. He might be that special where he could overcome it, but it's a little different than Crawford moving up fighting Canelo, where Crawford is the better athlete, in my opinion. Crawford is uh has more agility, has more athleticism, has better stamina, um, probably an equal or maybe better skill set. You know what I mean? Was longer, was taller. So Crawford had advantages moving up. Now, if Crawford had to move up to 168 pounds and fight Roy Jones Jr., I wouldn't have picked him. You understand what I'm saying? It's a different kind of fight. Roy Jones is taller, he's faster in my opinion. He punches harder. He got the Olympic pedigree. Y'all want Crawford to move up two weight divisions to fight him? That's a different fight than fighting the 5'7" Canelo. And I'm not taking nothing away from Canelo, but I'm just saying that the moving up part, you got to factor in, got to hold it in context.
Yeah.
Bam moving up to fight in a way, bro, that's he's giving up too much on top of the size, in my opinion. And that's where the moving up gets a little bit dangerous. You gotta it depends on who you're moving up against. When Roy Jones moved up, you ain't see him go up and fight Lennox Lewis. You
Mhm.
saw him fight John Ruiz. It's a different fight.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I love Bam. I respect him. I think Bam is a mix of Orlando Canizales and Vasil Lomachenko. That's how highly I think of him. But asking him to go up two more weight divisions and fight Inoue at 122 pounds, I think Inoue beats him.
You are really, really good at like making comparisons with guys. This guy reminds you of this guy. And I feel like I know a lot about boxing history. Sometimes you see these comparisons, and when we get off, I'll be like, all right, let me look this dude up because like I don't know who the hell this guy is, man. So you're the only guy that can pull some shit off like that. But
Have you watched Orlando Canizales?
no.
When you get a chance, watch him versus a guy named Kelvin Seabrook. Bro, he's smooth as butter. Mexican dude of the 90s, 118-pound champion, smooth, can punch, does not run out of gas, knows how to slide up on you, don't do no running, stay right in front of you and stepping around you, slipping, catching every layer of defense. Not so much a dynamic athlete, but dynamic with his skill set. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And um, I think he probably got maybe 16, 17 defenses of his IBF title at 118 pounds. He was a great fight. He's a Hall of Famer. So just check him out. I want to sell him to you. You just check him out and tell me what you think of him. But that's who Bam remind me of, him and Lomachenko. Canizales is Orthodox. So Bam's a southpaw. So he got him and Lomachenko in his game.
Definitely text it to me because, I got a lot of family in town. So definitely need something to do other than, having them annoy me all day. But I actually wanted to ask you, who is there a comparison for who does Abdullah Mason remind you of, man?
Damn, that's a good question. I don't want to make nothing up to kind of just give you a comparison. But right now, off the top of my head, I don't really have a comparison um, to Mason. I'm trying to think while we talking. Um, I don't really have a comparison to him just yet, though. I gotta see. I gotta see a little bit more of him to give you more of an accurate answer.
Is when you look at a weight class, you always can see like the great fighters, and everybody got to fight each other for sure, and you want to see how everything plays out. But you can always look at a weight class, and you can always guess, like, okay, those two guys are going to be the last two guys standing. Just a guess. Does it seem like Mason and Shakur at 135 are going to be the last two guys standing? I mean, if you ask me, I'd probably say Andy Cruz and maybe Shakur, because Andy Cruz is nice as hell, man. But
I don't think enough has happened for us to say that just yet. I don't get that impression yet. I think they got to figure it out. You know
okay,
what I mean? It's a lot going on there. I think we got to figure it out. Shakur to me is the best right now, but he's talking about moving up to 140 to fight Teofimo Lopez.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Who knows how that fight's gonna work out, and the money that's gonna be thrown around. I don't know. So let's just figure it out. I don't get that impression just yet. I don't know. You know what I mean? I think Shakur is number one in the division, and I would like to see him unify or fight for the ring title or whatever and clear everything out. But it's too much room. But it's too much room, man. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I don't know if Abdullah Mason can beat um, um, Floyd Schofield or Andy Cruz or the rest of the guys. It's a possibility, but we got to see those fights. Abdullah Mason is a terrific talent, but um, he's an action fighter, and he brings ass, and he gets hit a lot. And fighters like that, you kind of gotta. I don't want to annoy them too early, and I don't want to take anything away from him too early. But he was hit with a lot of clean shots, and he had a very, very tough fight against Sam Nukes. So he probably has to mature a little bit within his style. You know what I mean? Like not make that fight so I'm rooting for the young man. So I'm wanting him to win, but I'm watching the fight like this don't have to be like this, son. Like you could use your jab a little bit more, loosen up a little bit, and kind of school this guy and not give up so much of yourself just to win this fight. You know what I mean? So I gotta see how his career play out, but I don't know who's gonna be the last man standing at 135. It's a lot going on there, you know. I know people writing Tank Davis off, and he definitely, has been kind of silent since the Lamont Roach draw, but he's still there. You got Lamont Roach, you got Andy Cruz, you got the Moratella guy, you got Schofield, you got Shakur. I mean, it's a lot going on there. You know what I mean? It's hard to say.
Yeah, for sure. Um, my last question for you, just want to talk about this Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez fight. And a ton of people, and I guess rightfully so, not even I guess, rightfully so, have Shakur as the favorite. But the way people talk about it, they talk about it like Teo doesn't have a chance. And I'm just like, that's a 50-50 fight if I ever seen one, man. Teo is a little bit more athletic. He's a little faster, might hit harder. And he's just explosive, man. Is that a fight where you're just like, yeah, Shakur's gonna have to be on his absolute A game to beat a guy like Tio?
I agree. Um, I think Shakur should probably be the favorite because he's the more consistent fighter.
Hmm.
I think we've seen T.O. in tougher moments as far as like close to losing. Um, it was a it was a guy I forget his name, but Southpaw guy that gave T.O. fits, and Jermaine Ortiz gave him fits. I forget the other guy's name; it's escaping my mind right now. But we've seen T.O. has some tough nights with guys who give him movement or whatever. So it's definitely
Oh, Sandor Martin.
yes. He gave T.O. a very, very tough fight.
Yeah.
So um it's very reasonable for people to favor Shakur over T.O. He's like I say, he's the more consistent fighter. Shakur don't have a fight where at the end of the fight you thought the other guy won. Um, but Teofimo is a guy that's hard to count out because he has those super nights where he looked like you like, God damn, this dude could beat anybody in the world. You
Yeah.
know, and his two biggest performances, he was the underdog, and it was versus Southpaws, versus Josh Taylor and Vasil Lomachenko.
Mhm.
And he just dominated Arnold Barbosa. He just dominated him. And Barbosa is one of those well-rounded fighters who know how to neutralize certain things that guys do. And he couldn't lay a hand on Teofimo. So Teofimo, while he's not as consistent as Shakur, it's like a guy like both guys. Okay, I'm gonna give you a basketball analogy.
All right.
Shakur Stevenson averaged about 25 points a game, right?
Okay.
But every game he scored about 23, 24, 27, 28. He just
Gotcha.
had a good baseline. With Teofimo averaged about 22 points a game. Some games he only have 10, but other games he got 50. You
Gotcha. It's a
understand what I'm
good,
trying to say?
it's a good one. Yeah.
So they fight, and your logic says the more consistent fighter wins. But with Teofimo show up and he's on that 50-point night,
Yeah. What if he not missing?
and you like, whoa, whoa, because the guy who showed up to Fort Josh Taylor, I was like, God damn. You understand what I'm trying to say? It's like, whoa. The first six rounds of the Loma fight, you like, whoa, this
Yep.
dude looks like a transcendent talent. And then he fights Jermaine Ortiz or Cambosos, and you're like, oh man, this guy is hot and cold. So I don't rule him out, and I think that Teofimo can make this fight very difficult for Shakur if he boxes Shakur.
But when you say it like that, what else would he do? He wouldn't like rough him up or anything, right?
Well, the thing is that the guys who've given Teofimo movement and the guys who've that he's tried to press, he hasn't looked good. But when
Mhm.
he's made fighters come to him and he could kind of like line them up for his counter punches a little bit better. So he's obviously a fighter that likes you to come to him more than a fighter that likes to come to you and kind of stalk you down. So that's why I said that, because Shakur is a boxer and Shakur is the one that's moving up in weight. But I don't think that Teofimo can beat Shakur trying to walk him down and rough him up. He had too much trouble with Jermaine Ortiz. But if he can somehow make Shakur come to him or more or less box him, I think this is a very interesting style matchup. And I'm not saying I favor Teofimo, but I don't look at it like Shakur just gonna just completely wash him either. I think it's a tough fight. And Teofimo, he got a clutch game. He's game. He showed up in big spots. And you got to take that in consideration. He don't really freeze up in the moment. He's hot and cold, but he don't freeze up. There's a little different than a guy who freezes up over a guy who hot and cold. And if you get Teofimo on one of them 50-point nights, that's a tough fight because again, he fought like I've seen him have like perfect fights and perfect moments. The first six rounds of the Loma fight, that was perfect. Um, the Josh Taylor fight was perfect. The Arnold Barbosa fight, he didn't get touched. Those is three biggest fights. Richard Comey, when he first went in the title, just completely he YouTubed him, he highlight reeled him. You know what I mean? So you got to factor that in. We got to be objective and factor that in. And again, I trust Shakur more than I trust Teofimo if I'm betting my money, because Shakur is not going to lose to a George Kambosos type. He's just not. He's not going to have that night. He's going to be more consistent. But Teofimo, the kind of guy you got to be careful going against him, because in big moments he showed up. And I won a bunch of money on him versus Josh Taylor. I did. I thought Josh Taylor would get a little too slow. And Teofimo, for some reason, man, he got like a little weird thing where he's probably like better as the underdog and better when everybody's against him. Some people just crazy like that. I don't mean in a bad way. Like I know just can't be talking about mental health and stuff. I don't mean in a bad way. But some people mind is like they like it when everybody is against them. So that's a great fight. Hopefully we get it. No injuries, no stuff. That's a great fight. I love that fight. I'm not one of the people that say two boxers fighting is boring. I hate that. You know what I mean? I enjoyed watching Ray Leonard versus Wilfred Benitez, and I enjoyed watching Nonito Donaire versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. I enjoy watching fights where guys is trying moves and he boxing and he fainting and and Mike McCallum and James Toney. I enjoy them kind of fights. So hopefully, everything goes good and we get Shakur and Teofimo. It's a great fight. You know what I mean? I like the fight. I hope people don't try to stink it up and say, oh, they're gonna run and not fight. Bro, they call boxers. It's called boxing. Like these guys don't gotta get brain damage to put on a good performance. I think that's ridiculous. You can't even show defense these days without somebody criticizing you. I'm seeing people criticize Devin Haney. He moved up 3 weight divisions, fought the biggest puncher in the division, knocked him down, hurt him. He tried to stop him, and then he boxed a little bit. Like, you want him to get knocked out so you can laugh and say he don't have no IQ? He tried to entertain. He did the best version of entertainment he can do, you know what I
Right.
mean, while still being defensively responsible and showing his IQ. He can't just sit in a box like Joe Frazier and fight Brian Norman. Y'all want him to get knocked out. I don't get all of that. But hopefully they fight Teofimo and Shakur. I've been hearing rumblings of it. Did they get signed yet?
Not officially, but it's
Um, I
nothing but
don't really like getting excited about fights, man, until they get signed. But if they fight, I'll be tuning into that. It's an excellent fight.
for sure, man. Look, I appreciate you breaking it down. Appreciate you jumping on with me tonight. And please, definitely text me that guy. Because if you're telling me I gotta check him out, I gotta check him out. So,
Orlando Canizales.
brother, you,
Orlando
you know I
Canizales.
can't spell that last name, man.
All right,
Text it to me,
I'm
man.
gonna find this fight on YouTube with Kelvin Seabrook, and I'm gonna send you the link.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, bro.
My guy.